I'd like to introduce Rieteka. Rieteka was here with a beautiful show 9 years ago, and it's so fabulous to have you back here again. I know you've been very busy with children and doing lots of residencies, but it's wonderful to have your artwork back here.
Thank you.
I'd love you to talk a little bit about the title for this show.
The Drawer of the Outdoors is something, it's a title I've been using for a few things. I did start to name some of the works, The Drawer of the Outdoors, a while ago, and it's now something that I've used a number of times to encapsulate pretty much all the works that I do that are inspired by the outdoors, since that's one of the things I'm inspired by.
And what is it about the botanic gardens, the succulent gardens, and your beautiful garden? What is it about those areas that you walk into and sit in?
It's seeing how different plants develop and how they vary so much. The botanic gardens, succulent garden is a great example of that. It's almost like an underwater scene, but without the water. It's just the way things develop and evolve and form. It's very shape orientated compared to a lot of other plants, which more like trees and flowers, grevillea, a lot of natives, develop in a very different way. And so to draw them, I need to approach it from a different way.
There's a lot of gradation in colours and different hues in succulents and plants, isn't there?
There is, absolutely. And I guess my way of looking at things is that all of what I do is drawing, but I need to look at it from a different angle depending on what the subject is at the time. Like, as I said, with succulents, they're very shape orientated, so the way that that surface changes colour depending on where the light is. It's very different from something that, like natives, that are much finer and a lot more leaves and things like that. So that's more line orientated, and there's a shadow. There's depth of foliage, and there's lightness coming out, all very different.
And is that why you use ink? You have such an extraordinary ability to work with ink. It, to me, looks like they're watercolours. No, they're not.
No, they're light fast ink, and I do use a lot of watercolours, but the thing I love about the ink is, for one thing, it's very strong pigment, and it maintains that pigment. The other thing is, with watercolours, once you can only really layer them up so much, whereas with ink, because it dries in between, and once it's dry, that's it. You can't, you can layer on top of that. It's not a thing of you've got to worry about what's underneath and it becoming liquid again.
And as we know, this is a fibre art gallery, and you've used a lot of fibre art techniques incorporated into these works. Would you like to talk a little bit about those?
I've done quite a bit of stitching with some pieces, like the one behind me. Quite often I will get to a point with a drawing, or in some ways, like with this one, it's a screen print first. Then I want to add other layers to it, and sometimes drawing in the conventional way is just not going to take me to the point that I'm happy with. And I think that there's something about stitching that really adds a third dimension to the picture. It just becomes a lot more tactile, which I like that. I use sewing machine and hand stitching, and just sort of work it out as I go.
And this is another example, isn't it, Rieteka?
It is, yes. That's the pear tree in our garden, and it hasn't produced many pears, but it is absolutely beautiful in autumn. I really love it at that time of year. So with that was again a screen print underneath, which is the red, and then I decided to stitch over that with the black. I wanted part of it to really come forward and push other branches back behind. And then I also used different pieces of cotton that I'd stained with ink and sewed them on as well, but with a colour apart from black, so again they will knock back into the background.
So you've applied some of the cloth on.
I have, yes.
Very beautiful effect.
I did decide to make some plates and also some lamps. I like playing around with different things, and these did start, I started doing some screen printing, and I thought that I had some different shapes that I thought, well, you know, I'll play around with how paper will go into those once it's been screen printed on. They're made with layers of different papers, mainly Japanese and Thai papers, because they're made out of paper, a mulberry plant, and so the fibres are very strong and they kind of knit together. And then a number of those I've then finished off with ink, but then also some stitching, again just to really bring out certain areas of them. And the lamps, I like the way that paper can play around with light, and so I want to make the most of that. I wanted to see if, rather than just have an opaque piece on a wall, if I had light within it, how that would change the effect that it would give.
And the piece behind the lamp is very different from the rest.
It is. So that's a drawing that I've done on a piece of cotton. That was with ink and Chinagraph pencil. I really like using Chinagraph pencil over the top of the ink. It adds, again, another textural element to it, because whether it's paper or fabric, it'll only go over so many of the threads that are making it up, or the fibre. Whereas the ink, of course, will actually go into the fabric or paper. So it's quite a different effect. And that particular piece of the water hibiscus, which grows in our front yard, I just find that such a fascinating plant. It dies off each year and then it comes back up, but it creates these sort of pods before it suddenly has these red flowers. And the flowers are interesting, but the pods are really quite amazing. So these are two cactuses in the succulent garden, because one is done two different ways. That's how it generally looks, and the other one is when it's in flower. All of these pictures in this particular, well, no, not quite all of them in this room, but quite a few of them of the succulent garden I did in my sketchbook in situ, drawing them at the time, and of course that's only an A4 size, and then they've been printed onto linen, which I was very happy with the pictures as they were in my sketchbook, but being able to make them whatever size I wanted to, and also onto the texture of linen, I think just adds another element to them. And a lot of these are actually originally watercolour. They're not ink. Yeah. So it does still get quite an intense colour, but there's just a variation to it. It's not the same sort of thing. And if I work, these are very much, I can only work so far. And I'm also using a fine liner to do the drawing first, and then I overlay it with colours.
They work beautifully when they've been digitally printed onto the linen.
Yeah, I really like the effect.
And where to next for you?
Oh, well, I'm doing something completely different. I've been, for quite a while, I've been drawing, well actually the last exhibition I had here was drawing my kids, and now they're a lot older, but I draw them quite often doing the things that they love to do. So my daughter doing dance, my son playing cricket, and also both of them in the school band. So I've been going and drawing things like that when, as they have these different things that they like doing, and I want to develop those into a body of work as well.
Well, good luck with that. I can imagine they're beautiful. I've been watching those as you've been drawing.
Oh, it's been great fun. Yeah.
It's a lovely way to document your kids.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I look forward to seeing those. Maybe there might be some stitch in them, who knows?
There might be, you never know. There was in the last one.
Yeah, it was lovely. Well, thank you for having this exhibition here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.